everybody. Welcome to another episode of Educators Game On.
And as our acronym says, ego, don't let your ego get in the way of helping somebody else go into your profession. Today, we have a panel with Seth Jackson and Candace Jackson. I'd just like to ask one question. Are you guys married or are you guys by birth or last name?
No, we're brother and sister.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, great. Just wanted to clarify that in case anybody had any questions.
Yes, absolutely.
How's everything looking right now in Michigan?
Cloudy and cold, sadly, but we're hoping for a little bit warmer weather within these 2 weeks.
Great. 80 degrees here in California. We'll send some to you. Anyhow, I understand that you both are educators in the state of Michigan. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
could one of you tell me how you got started being educators, what your educational background is, and what grade do you teach?
So, educational background, I have an undergraduate degree in philosophy and a major as well in sociology. I graduated from La Sierra University in Riverside, California. And then an opportunity opened up for me to continue my education in Michigan. And so I decided to take that. It was a UTRP program, it stood for Urban Residency Teacher. So basically we were allowed to tutor or not tutor, intern underneath a professional teacher while we were going to school. And when I got the opportunity, Candy also heard about it and she was able to run me and we school died together.
Fantastic. How's everything going as far as that little internship or whatever you guys did?
Well, I graduated with a bachelor's in graphic design. And during my last year of college, I heard about the TRP program through Tim, which came from our auntie who works in the district of Kalamazoo. And when we first got out here, honestly, we both worked in third grade. I worked under a teacher named Mrs. Powell, and it was actually a really good experience. We got a lot of hands-on experience. However, my personal experience with being in learning about it through books and the teachers at the college versus actually being in the system, I just felt like it was different than what they taught. They were teaching a lot about how to teach, but what they weren't telling us is how to manage, because mainly for lower education, kindergarten through fifth is a lot of management before you even teach. So, but I actually enjoyed the experience the whole entire time.
The program itself took about a year to finish.
Theory in itself, I want to go ahead and comment on what you said, Candy. Theory is totally different than being actually in the classroom with hands-on because it's just book stuff, right? And you don't really get into it until you get into it, the meat and potatoes of what a real classroom is actually going to be like. So I would agree with you on that. It's totally apples and oranges.
So let me ask, what grades do you guys teach right now? And what are some of the challenges that you're facing right now? And also another question I would like to ask is, what students do you teach? Socioeconomic, or are you in private school? What exactly?
We are in a urban area, an urban district. I don't know how it would be classified technically, but there are I would say low socioeconomic status for most of the students, definitely. I teach second grade
I teach first.
and we are both at Harrison Elementary in Kalamazoo. In general, the school is like the newer school in terms of they built in the building, but the school's been around since 1923. I don't know the dynamics of the demographics have shifted over that time, but nowadays it's definitely more socioeconomic, African American population, white population, realistically, being in the Midwest in Michigan. So, yeah.
So are there challenges that you guys face as a result of this?
Mm, Definitely. I think a lot of the challenges also come more with us being newer teachers and not having traditional training in our original path. Seeing our undergrads weren't geared towards education, especially elementary education. But I think the challenges came with just being newer And like Ken said, trying to apply a lot of the stuff that we learned through books in your classroom and seeing like how that translates. There's a lot of personal stories and things I'm sure that we could both tell, but in general, I think that's been the biggest challenge for me.
Honestly, I think overall, I feel like all the challenges that I faced are challenges that all like teachers would face. It could be with classroom management, it could be with parent interaction. The only thing I haven't faced is like I feel like I am surrounded by a really good group of teachers and my principal is very supportive. So that's what makes this whole entire I feel like because of how supportive our principal is and how strong she is, kind of helps every other teacher under her be as strong. So now the new oncoming teachers that come on, like they're as strong as the rest. So because it's so strong from the top to the bottom, I feel like it doesn't seem like anything can really go that bad. Like I don't ever see someone at our school saying they want to quit because it's so bad.
So now that we've spoken about challenges, what advice would you give someone that is actually entertaining going into teaching? What advice would you give to someone?
And you guys being young teachers is why we're asking, because, we're older educators. So as younger educators, what's the advice you give to somebody that's younger?
I would say have patience and just rely on those older individuals to like actually get you through situations because for the most part, it's easy to get isolated, I think, in the class. So I think even as our school is, like, I personally struggle with going outside for help, but I'm always like open, and she knows I'm opening my classroom for people to do like send students if you need, like, if someone's acting up too much, they can come take a break in my class, that type of thing. But also like reciprocating that and like if you're getting overwhelmed, using other people to relieve yourself so that you're not getting flustered within those first few years, because I think that really leads to fatigue. And that fatigue leads people to quit the career early. When you get through those first 3 years, I feel like you can persevere through the rest of your career.
Yeah, honestly, we do these staff shout outs every single time we are in a staff meeting. And a lot of the thank yous for Seth go out to his ability to have really good classroom management and also allow, like, when they send kids that aren't doing their jobs, Seth is able to have conversations with them and help the kids understand why they're wrong. And then when they get sent back up, they're like a whole new kid. And then at the end of the day, if they really don't want to figure themselves out in his class, like, all right, should you even be here today? But at the end of the day, his classroom management's so good that even the upper elementary teachers will send kids down to him. For me, I think I'm more of a teacher that and I feel like more kids want to come to me because I actually will hear them out, even though I know probably half the things that come out of their mouth are lies. But like sometimes the kids really just need someone to hear them. So like if they get sit down to me for something bad, it's more like they just want a conversation.
So let me ask this: how many more years do you guys have under the program that you were in, or you finished? And let me just ask that question right now. I do have another question. I know that Ro has another question as well.
No, in technicality, we don't really have to commit any longer to those 3 years to the program because it was stripped due to like cuts in the Board of Education funding and things like that. So a lot of states had to cut a lot of grant programs and things like that. Because at this program is a 1 year internship slash study. You're getting paid while you're working and it's free. So your tuition is paid for. So that's a lot of money going to a program to educate teachers with the hope that they'll like stay in the system. But with that being said, we really don't have to stay. We could technically quit because that's not a commitment anymore. But if we were in the program, next year would be our last year. I mean, and then we'd be able to go about our business.
Yeah, walk me through a typical day for you, starting from the beginning of your day till you clock out.
So the beginning of the day, usually we'll get to school. Like we try to get to school around 7:30. Our school starts at 8. So like 8:04, as soon as we'll get into the gym at 8:04. Usually our principal will have the kids do like a fun activity to interact with each other, which is a part of our Kagan strategies that we're learning. We're learning Kagan, and it's supposed to help kids with engagement in class and help them work together more often. Kind of relieving the teacher of over talking and allowing the kids to talk. And then after they do the Kagan, like the Kagan game that we would do in the morning, we sit down, we breathe, we go have breakfast, we come into class, and then we start following our instructional schedules. I usually start with reading, and then we'll do some Kagan strategies with them reading, probably turn and talk, let up say the pair up. Then I have a special. I'll send my kids a special. Then I'll come back. We'll do math. And I usually do like pair coaching with math and rally coach for our calendar routine. Then at the end, they'll probably get on computers for 20 minutes to get on Zern to like kind of get lessons, and I'll pull students to the back so they can work with me on strategies that they're lacking on. And then after that, it's lunch, recess. We do science or social study at the end of the day, and then clean up, snack, go home.
Great. Seth, the same for you?
For the most part, but yeah, we all meet in the gym in the morning as a school, and then we'll dismiss from there. In the morning, I start with math always. That's always the
Is
first
there a
thing.
reason why you start with math always?
Cause I'm not even woke in the morning. You talking about some math?
Yeah, yeah. Now, like I get them up in the morning. I don't know where and I actually have to do more research behind it, but multiple teachers will tell you it's better to start in the morning with math. Um, I don't know. I feel like it does kind of have a quality that kind of wakes kids up, and also the assurance in their answers kind of gets them ready for learning. You can start off with simple things like simple addition, and they can just know like, all right, I got that, and they get in that mode for learning. With reading, it's a lot more thinking, I think, and actual like comprehending, and both their brains are always looking for that early in the morning. So we start with that, but I like to get through every subject because I enjoy science and social studies as a kid. So I make sure that I start with math, with science usually next, lunch or recess in between or specials in between that time, and then when they come back, reading and social studies. Whatever.
So you did say you teach second, and Candace, you teach third?
First, I think.
First? Oh, first. Okay, so Seth is okay. If he was third grade, he'd be getting my students prepared with that math that he's doing first thing in the morning.
I guess so.
Yes, I'm going to get it out the way.
Hey, question I do have. So now that you guys are teaching and there's no obligation, but you're still teaching in Michigan, what are the chances of you not teaching there and going to another state? Or, before you answer that question, do you plan on teaching forever? Is that your goal, or do you plan on doing something else? So I'm sorry I did your 2-point question.
No, no, that's totally fine. I have no idea really at this point. I'm really focused on just like education. I think it's becoming kind of like a unknown skill.
That's good.
As far as I'm concerned, I would be open to working anywhere. I'm currently trying to look into getting my certification for educational leadership, so that way I can work as an assistant principal. And then
Okay.
if I explore that enough, I think I'm going to continue my education and try and
Well,
get
that's
a
good.
doctorate in educational leadership.
Oh, but that's hey, that's my leadership. That's what my degree is in.
Right up your alley.
Educational leadership with an emphasis in higher education for me.
Candy?
Honestly, I've never really like, even though I say a lot of things throughout the day because my brain works that way, I've never really been in my class or just in general thinking that I hate this job and I don't want to have this job. Like, mainly it's more like I don't want to be in Michigan, but getting the job, I have not felt that. I think I really found my place in first grade because I really enjoyed teaching the kids how to read. Math, I'm still working on because like some years are really good. Yeah, my kids last year were like so amazing with math and reading. This year, there's something not clicking, and it frustrates me because I want to like figure out what I did last year that's not working this year and what I need to do this year for math. But reading, I continue to like. I have been told by Dr. Dyson that I should try to look into becoming a reading coach. So if I could get out of first grade, I could do reading coach for that job and go around to other teachers and help them figure out how to best help their kids how to read. Yeah, I think I love first grade and I kind of want to be here forever, no matter how annoying they could get.
And where you at teaching, right?
Do you want to stay in Michigan or do you want to go someplace else?
That's really dependent on my principal, because if she leaves, I'm hightailing it out of here.
It's always good, and I think Will can talk about that. Having a good management team,
A good leader. A good leader will take you far. And when they go, of course, you don't want them to go, but you want the best for them. But you also want to go with them because you just don't want to ride their train all over again and test the waters with a new admin team. I get that. I do. Can we go back to you mentioned the Kagan strategy? Can you tell me, is that an acronym for something, Candace?
It's the person's last name.
Yeah, it's after they're an education couple, and they basically coined this strategy.
They came up with strategies that you
Yeah,
need
it's
to,
all
I guess,
conflict.
kind of. Oh, okay. They come to the school
Yeah,
and
they
they
go
talk
across
about the
the street. It's strategies, not specific curriculum, but it's like different teaching strategies that are used in order to get more student engagement. Yeah, they have an acronym for what they look for is personal independence. Oh my goodness, because now I have to do the motion.
That's okay.
yeah, that's okay.
Okay. And the reason why I mentioned it because I also are in K through 12. And when you said the Kagan strategy, it just made me think about a strategy that we use here in California. It's called CHAMPS. Chance
Mhm.
strategy. See, have you heard of it?
I've heard of it. I think we used to rely on it. I think we switched to something called PODs.
Yeah, when we came out here, I know for a fact my mentor had the chant thing up her wall, and she was teaching me about it because they did get trained in that.
Yeah.
But then my principal was already trained in both chants and I believe champs, but also in Kagan. And then that's when she started to want to switch our school specifically over to, because I know that a lot of the schools in the district don't do Kagan.
So it's broken into 4 cooperative learning principles. Those principles are positive interdependence, right? So trying to teach kids to rely on each other in a good way and not like look at someone answering a question as negatives. Because a lot of times when, you know, someone might know the answer, but they've written their hand like 15 times, you decide to call on someone else and then they're like, uh, you don't want that reaction out of kids when, their peers are also trying to learn. So it's trying to teach them like, have that kind of sense of like, hey, like, good job. Like, I'm proud of you. Like, oh, you get a turn too. You answer the question. We all need to. Like, that's the P. The I stands for individual accountability. So basically it's trying to instill in kids individual accountability, like taking their ownership of their own learning in a way. That's where the main principle of putting the learning in the kids' hands comes into, is in that regard, because that's where a teacher view most of the strategies in order to take themselves out of the answering of the question. So it's like students answer questions with each other, talk about questions with each other. They might answer it in pairs. They might get up and walk around the classroom and answer it with another group that they've never interacted with before. So like teaching them like, okay, I'm not going to be, this is the question, raise your hand if you know. This is the question, raise your hand if you know.
Because at the same time, when you have those, like raising hand, you start to realize that a lot of your kids will not use their hands. They will not participate. And then that's you can't gauge whether or not they actually are following along or where they're at. So we do a lot of like that in those in that sense, we would do a lot of like, all right, turn to talk to your partner. Partner A, answer this question. Partner B, answer this question. So now you know at least each question you have 50% of your class participating.
So, and that's the thing, you're always going to either have 25 or 100% interaction with these strategies. So either the 25% of the class at one time is going to be answering, or 100% of them are going to be answering. And then,
Well, Seth, before you touch,
yes,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was going to say, before you touch on to the next principle, I was going to say it's the same thing when you're teaching higher education. When I teach in the classroom, you have taught in the classroom, I have to make them, participate. If you don't, I think it doesn't matter if you're in K through 12 or if you're in college. They just don't want to participate. And I have to make them participate. I have to point them out like little kids, like they're in grade school. Same
right.
difference.
And that's where it comes into play, because you have those classes, especially in higher education, where the students feel as though, oh, because I'm an adult now, I don't have to participate. And it's like, that's not the case.
Absolutely.
You're still in school. So it's like, you have to prove to
Exactly.
us that you
Good point.
actually have this knowledge. And, going into small level, I was just going to say, like, we already know how kids are. If they don't have to answer, they're not going to answer. There's only the small amount who actually take pride and want to be the one every single time answering. And it's like, you can't
Exactly.
have.
And I just
Exactly.
want to say,
Priorities.
individual accountability, it helps with equal participation because now everybody is participating, but it's mainly like if you are in a group like of 4, this part is your part. Now kind of it's like all eyes are on you. Are you going to help your group? So it's like now they have to like really have to make their mind work just to help their group out. If it's in partners, like this is your turn to answer this question. Are you going to help your partner out? Like, are you going to share what your knowledge? So it's like, that's kind of what that is.
Right. That was the next charge is equal participation. She was touched on that. And then lastly would be S, which is simultaneous interaction. And that's where you're getting also everybody talking at the same time. The teacher removes.
Well, they can do that with no problem.
Right. Right. So those are the 4. So it's PIES pies. Those are the guiding principles for the Kagan structures. But we also have this other program that we run in our school called Capturing Kids' Hearts. And that's more based.
Oh, the capturing of the kids. I'm so sorry. That just means so much to me. I've gone to so many trainings for capturing the kids' hearts because you just have to meet them where they're at. I love that program.
A great
I'm
social
sorry. I just
emotional
run a this.
Yes, but that's why I was gonna say, especially coming and working in a school that's heavily dominated by the Black communities, it's like a lot of these kids have so much stuff that they are dealing with outside of school. When they get there, they couldn't care less about learning. And so it's like, if you can reach them in a way that's like they feel safe in at school, to a point where it's like they trust you low key more than your parents. They see you more than their parents. So it's like they to some extent should feel like they could come to you like a parent. And so it's like when you apply the things from the capturing component, especially, it goes beyond just the learning aspects that Kagan talks about, but it's like kids trust you.
And that's what you want. That's what you want. You need to make that connection. And capturing kids' hearts is one of those programs that I didn't buy into it in the beginning because it's like, how do I capture these kids' hearts? But then if you think about it, it's kind of easy because they don't really require much. You have a few kids that are kind of tough, but you can still break through their walls with repetitiveness and just being the same every day with them.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, and you touched on it briefly. What would you recommend to someone in your age group that are thinking about being teachers? Because there's a lot of teachers that have left because the teaching climate is really just not good right now. It's really not good. It doesn't matter if we use Chromebooks, whatever electronic devices they're utilizing right now. It doesn't help a lot of children because they're not interested in learning. What advice would you give to some young person like yourselves to become a teacher? Because we need more teachers like you guys. We really do, because we're phasing out. Me and her are phasing out.
I mean, it's hard to speak to that somewhat, just because I feel like there's so many things needed in the teaching community right now, as like varying faces and like different demographics being like acknowledged, I feel. But in a general sense, if there's a young person that's wanting to get into education, you just gotta have a deep resilience and patience. Work with your older generation, join a union
Oh,
because
yes. That's right. Work with the old folks. That's
yeah,
right.
at the end of the day, these are things that are gonna help you progress in your career, and I think they'll keep you safe from the thing that I think a lot of people are most scared of, and that's like, in the job, I think a lot of people can get to a point where they feel like they have to quit because they're just so stressed out and not being helped. And that's the biggest about it is a lot of the weight is going to be from a teacher because a lot of families sadly don't really take initiative in learning it.
I enjoy our new superintendent because he has made it mandatory to send the homework on. And but it really it shows me how much is being done at home. Like I keep telling the parents every teacher conference, it's like, yeah, I am teaching them at school. I'm here. I am teaching them at school. But what I'm getting into is the why and how of what we're learning. Now it's your turn to go home with the packet I sent to go over fluency.
Yeah.
She taught you that TH means this sound. So now we're gonna go over words that have TH in it. You tell me if it's unvoiced or voiced. You tell me, what is this word? Sight words, I send home. And then I get kids coming back and it's week one, we learned the word what. And we're not on what, 20 something? No, 30. We're like in week 30 something. And I'm asking them to read this sentence and it has the word what. And they're saying what. So we're not like there's a problem happening there. So it's like we're in a place value right now, and they can't even tell me what 2 plus 2 is. This is not like that's the fluency I'm asking them to go over. So like it really is showing me who I really need to start pulling to the back. But now that's creating a little bit too much more work for me to make sure that their kid is moving along.
So, how much of that would you have to deal with if there was more parent engagement when they're taking these homework packets home?
If kids got their parents to reinforce the lessons that were being taught at school, I genuinely think that we would get probably 75% more retention of what is being taught. And that's just from a personal experience standpoint. I'm not saying that based off of any like numbers, but I'm just like, there is a certain repetition where it's like, okay, if I'm asked to perform this way at school, I can get into a routine or an act of looking like I'm learning. There's students that I'm sad to say I've missed, they've gone on the radar in terms of their learning just because they know how to kind of blend in during the day and
They're mimicking what they hear
right.
from
Or
other kids, right?
being visible in general. And it's like doing that and then finding out, oh, this child can't read. So now I'm trying to hyper focus on them and then I'm missing out on the other ones. All of that could be negated to a degree if I was getting the assurance that, you know, yeah, they struggle with this lesson, but when I send them home, the parent was going to go over it. And at least if the parent doesn't understand it, they can call me or put her on the homework. Hey, we had struggled with this. Then I know, hey, real quick, let's just go over this part of the lesson and let's get this. And then that skill is learned. I think also what I was going to say back to the last point of all of this is just that I think that a big degree of and this is transgenerational, I think. This isn't something that I think has immediately been noticed, but the fact that a lot of education in the early days of America wasn't
Mandated for families or
yeah,
necessary.
it wasn't mandated in that sense. So a lot of schools you were getting were these little schoolhouses that were in these local communities where these people are trusting another person in the community to educate their kids. And from that you get them bigger and wider public school communities. And I think yeah, just the mindset was that when these kids start going to school, that same small localized, like a sugar education that we can look at and we can know like what's being taught is just going to be captured on a broader scale. Knowing how many students go through a class and how many years the teacher can teach, I can't do it without a parent helping their kid at home anymore.
Absolutely, that part.
It's not possible. I'm like, there's way too many children going to school, and that's a good thing. There should be more. But the point is, they should also be getting reinforcement in every facet of their life. They should be getting educated everywhere, all the way up until they're an adult and then they understand how to educate themselves. But I can't do that if my kids aren't being, helped along in every way. I don't know.
Yeah. I just want to say one thing. At the end of the day, the kids are going to grow regardless if the parents are helping or not. But they can grow even more and even faster if that stuff is happening at home. So, like,
Absolutely.
they may think that the homework is not necessary, but it truly is necessary because that's something that we are doing in class. That is like fluency in math, fluency in reading, sight words, and from first grade at least, that I'm sending home, comprehension, seeing if the stories that they're reading at home are they're comprehending it. Like, that's kind of engaging. And probably parents don't even think that those homeworks are getting graded. I grade my homework. I know who's actually finishing the homework, who's actually doing the homework right. And that goes into grades. And tells me where they're at. And I could tell who's like getting their homework done for them. Or if
Oh,
they're
you definitely can
so
tell.
or they're doing it themselves. I can tell. So yeah.
No, we need more young educators like you who care about teaching, who care about if the students are learning, because we even have older teachers that really don't care. They're just getting a paycheck. And I'm sure you guys have probably worked with some of those who don't care. They're just waiting to retire or go to a different field because they're tired of teaching and everything. But we need more educators like you, and very proud of you guys because this teaching is hard. It's hard.
I was gonna say, in regards to what I would say to a new teacher, I really am big on like caring about your mental health. I think a lot of teachers, especially new teachers, put too much time into their work and they care about the students a lot. But at the end of the day, that's what gets you sick. Your mental is on them at all times. Like your health decrease, your spiritual, emotional, mental, all physical will all decrease. And then that's what gives you that fatigue. So I say 100%, like, go do something that you like to do. Like, we just ate out yesterday at a restaurant with another one of our coworkers. And sometimes we don't even get the chance to do that kind of stuff. So it's really great that even in our school, we have our mentor. She sets up like days every probably month or every 2 months where we'll have a day where you can basically reserve a spot to go out to eat with all the teachers. And we go out there, and a lot of us don't even like to talk about school. Like a conversation will pop up here or there, but they like to have actual conversations that have nothing to do with the students because we're trying to like rebalance ourselves for the next day.
You need that.
Absolutely. That's good. Mental health is very important.
100%. And I think one thing that I learned over time is to be patient. You really, especially with the kids, there's too much that's going on. Like the generation that we have are the generations that grew up with their face in a screen. So to really get them 8 hours or 6, 7 hours a day to try to get them off of screen time, to try to get them to focus on what's happening in class, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna come with behaviors. That's gonna come with a lot of stuff. So to have that patience to understand that kid and then try to flip the whole situation around, you need to have that. You need to learn to how to have it. For me, I've had too many times where like the way I explain it to my kids is like my heart is hot right now. Like my heart is hot. And they know like at this point, if you keep messing with me, my voice is gonna get loud. And I'm asking you right now to let me take a
My
deep
heart
breath
is hot.
so I can cool my heart so I can talk to you the way I need to talk to you.
I was gonna say this is actually some key advice, and I'm gonna make this quick. Is my advice for new teachers is don't be afraid at all to establish early with the kids that there's a time to be joking and time not to. And her personality in the class and her voice is way more bubbly. So the first day she'll bring the students in, hey guys, like welcome in. Me, I might talk to them a little bit closer to how I would talk to an adult realistically, like with respect, but also like, something like, hey, how you doing? I'm like, welcome in, glad to see your face. But I'm never gonna be afraid to tell a kid, hey, stop.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you like that one time. And if I tell you again, you're getting a phone call, you're getting out, or you're getting yelled at. And that's okay because you got to learn that this is not the time to play around, especially teachers who offer time for fun and games. It's like you're getting in the way of that because now every time you want to play a game, it's going to take away from the time we have to take a break because you're taking one right now. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of teachers get wary with just like putting a foot down or like, oh, I don't want to be mean. No,
You play during learn time, you learn during playtime.
Yeah.
That's the cutoff.
we're not doing that.
We also have our 4-question strategy that we're implementing into the whole entire school, which is what are you doing? What are you supposed to be doing? Are you doing it?
What are you going to
What are you gonna do about it? Yeah. And basically, of course, the one thing I'm learning is how to say it correctly. Because sometimes I'm just like, excuse, what are you doing?
Sometimes it just stops there.
But like the kids hear the tone, and the tone is what kind of sets it off. That's like not capturing kid tones. So like you really have to find that middle ground where you're just like really asking them, what are you doing? What are you supposed to be doing? Are you doing it? What are you gonna do about it? And literally, my principal said every single time you ask that question, you'll be close to them. Once they answer it, move back. Because proximity is the key. And once they answer the next question, move back. And when they answer the last question, we move on. We're done. We figured out what we need to do. You're doing it. I'm moving on. So I don't need to have that conversation. And we also learned, don't argue with kids.
At all.
Don't argue. Like, at the end of the day, we're using those questions, so there was no argument. So now you're answering questions, and that's pulling your mind. You know exactly what you need to do.
I gave you
Right?
to
You're correcting their behavior by asking them to think, what are you doing? And I want to piggyback on what you were saying, Seth, what you were saying about you don't care if you have to yell or be mean. It's called a consequence. You're giving them consequences, and that's what we're missing in today's classrooms. A lot of teachers are just letting them do whatever.
And that's the thing. I'm like, I never say it as like a first option snap, and that's obvious to us as educators, but just so that the people watching know, like, it's never the first reaction. But the point is, don't be afraid as a new teacher to get loud. Just tell the kids, hey, stop it. I'm not trying anymore. You're getting a phone call. I'm going to tell the principal. I'm going to tell your mom. We're going to have the meeting because you keep playing, and now is not the time to play games. And it's just like, hey, once we get like that, I think that also builds that relationship in a way and captures kids' heart because when you come back after, you let them know, hey,
You need to have that
I'm
conversation.
not doing this because I'm selling this because I know you know how to do this.
And it's really
Trying to play games because you want to get distracted or this part is hard for you. If it's hard, say that so I can come help you. Don't distract others learning so that you can really distract yourself from learning what's hard. And then they come and they really understand. And it's like you have that moment with them. Now, next time you see them, like, hey, man, like, hey, you did that. See, I told you could do it. Come on now. Like, let's go.
And it's really important that you have that moment. We're not supposed to have kids come into our class after they just disrupted it. So after we do the 4 questions, and if they don't want to answer the 4 questions, I know you can't be here right now. So it's time for you to go. And then they're going to go to some other teacher when they are the office or the principal, whoever they need to go to. They're going to have that discussion. And when they're brought back to this classroom, now I have to have a discussion with you to see, like, are we able to rekindle what just happened? Like, are we going to have that restorative conversation? So I know that you're ready to come back into my class to learn because we're not going to have this happen again. So we always have to have that conversation. We can't just like, the kid walks in and you just go sit down. Like, that's not.
Can't brush over it. Cannot brush over it. It has to be addressed.
That is going to happen again.
Yeah.
And then we're going to have more and more of these days, and that's not okay.
Correct.
Well, my last thing I was going to say to new teachers is that always ask for help. This is my second year and second official year. I was an intern the first year, and I only had 1 year of schooling because of this program. I literally I only knew how to use Procreate and and Photoshop, and yeah, I just knew how to do computer stuff. And then I get pushed into a class with people I've never worked with kids in my life. So
Exactly.
I'm like, oh,
Push
nah,
in.
I'm lost at this point. And then just like being in there, And then you're working under a teacher and the teacher's so amazing. But then now you're pushed into another class. That's when I started turning tables, because I actually didn't get to finish my whole first year of interning. A teacher at another school quit because of the class that she was in, and they needed to pull someone into that class. And I was told that because we were doing so good as interns, they were like, wait, I think you do so good in first grade. Can you please be a full-time sub at this school? So now I'm no longer working under my mentor. I'm alone. And that's when I started to that's when I had the highest fever I've ever had in my life. Seth had to he was getting scared. I was at 102. He said, if it keeps rising, I have to go to the hospital. I was stressed to the max. I was in the class. As soon as I would drop that class off, I would be crying in my seat. I would it was just that bad. But it literally took, it was like I was battling for the class. And at one point, I was just like, why am I battling you? Like, you don't have anything. And that's when they start to realize, okay, now Miss Jackson is in charge. But at that point, I was asking for everyone's help. I was calling the woman that was in charge of the program. I was calling her. I was calling my mentor. I was calling Dr. Dyson for help. I was calling all of the what are they called? Tutors? Yeah. The ones that were gonna help us. And I was making sure that everybody knew I'm struggling, I need help, and if I don't get help, I'm going to break. And after that, they were, and the funny thing is, every single person I'm calling, they're actually waiting for people to call them. They're not just sitting there. They're
Good. That's
like,
good to know.
"Do you need help? Is there anything I can help you with?" And so many people are like, "No, I'm okay, I'm okay." No, if it's even the smallest thing, I'm saying, actually, yes, I need help, because at this point, that's literally their job, is to help us. And I'm over here I'm overworking myself because I don't want to ask for help. No, I'm asking you for help. You ask me for help, and if I can get help, I'll ask it. So I'm just saying, as a new teacher, do not be afraid.
Yeah.
Please don't. I called my aunt because she works for the district, and she was saying that she was talking to all of the assistant principals about me because she realized how much I will ask for help. I'll ask for help on how to respond to a parent. I'll ask for help. I'm I will ask for help with how do I set up my small group. I don't know exactly how to teach this lesson. Can you come into my class? Is there any way I could go into your class and see how you do classroom management? Can you send a classroom management woman to my class every Monday to see how I'm doing it, how I could be better at managing my class? How do I do this in reading? I will ask everyone for help. I don't care. And if they and no one gets tired. They're always looking to help. The principal, their mentors, other teachers, the district, they're always looking for help. So I'm never afraid to ask for help. I will always ask for help.
Absolutely. And that's important.
That's a good support system that you have, that no one was bothered by you asking for help. And that's the way it should be.
Well, I wanted to say to you guys, later on this year, we're going to have a panel with 5 or 6 educators, and I would like for you guys to be a part of that, just to say where your journey is at that time. It'll be in 6 or 7 months, and I'd like to have you guys back on as a guest
Absolutely.
if you guys want to do that.
No, I would love to. Just I'm going to go see Bruno Mars, so just not during that time.
Anyway, anyway, that's that mental health break that you need. I hear you. I hear you.
I'm taking it early.
Anyhow, we want to thank you guys for being guests on Educators Game On. You guys are the first guests that we've had, and not the last.
Thank
For
you.
you guys, not the last for you guys. And we really appreciate you taking time out to talk about how you deal as being young educators in the field of education. And we appreciate you.
Happy.
So what we want to say right now is,
What? What? What do you want to say?
we want to say educator, game on.
Educators, game on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.